This is the Sports Source, presented by Junk Be Gone. Now, your host, John Pennington.
Good Sunday morning. Welcome into the Sports Source. Happy to have you with us today. We're going to be talking Tennessee football for about 90% of the show, and then 10% at the end is going to be a little UT basketball for you as we get you ready for the 2019 football season. It's right around the corner. We got 1 month until it gets started. Let's just get started here if I can start speaking correctly. Come on. Can we get to it? There we go. All right. First segment of our show brought to you by Junk Be Gone. I use these guys each and every year. I've told you that. I used them a couple of months ago. And now I'm ripping out carpet and some other flooring in my home, so I'll be using them again. That's 2 Junk Be Gones in one summer. Folks, they're fantastic. You can do the same. And you can save. Get a weekend dumpster rental. They bring this huge thing to your house. You throw everything into it, then they come take it away. It's easy as can be. Get a weekend dumpster rental Friday through Monday for just $250. Save $49 by just mentioning the Sports Source. Mention the Sports Source, you get $49 off the weekend rental. It's only $250. Junk Be Gone, one of my favorite companies in town. All right, want to welcome in the first wave of panelists. Well, we've got a mini wave coming back. We had somebody unexpectedly show up today. Welcome in, Bob Hodge. So we've got one more guy waiting in the wings. We got right there Vince Ferrara, right there Mike Strange, and down there about to celebrate a birthday, Chuck Cavaleris. You look great for 85.
Thank you. I'm well preserved for 85.
Yes. Yes, okay. We'll just move right on. All right. Last week we discussed Matt Hayes had a column for the, I started to say Sporting News, where he worked forever. He's now with Bleacher Report, I believe. He wrote a piece about Tennessee will never be elite again. We discussed it here, and I think most of the panel, we all agreed that if you're talking about 45-5 as they went from 96 to 99, yeah, that's going to be awfully hard to do. But in terms of winning national title, they can get back to that. It's a little long to be saying never, which was the point of his column. Well, I wanted to do a little research into other schools' dark ages, which is what I think Tennessee's going through. So what I did was I took the top 10 winningest schools in college football history. I looked at the last 50 years, modern times, 69 to 2018, that's 50 seasons. I wanted to see how long their longest stretches of being outside the AP top 10 were and compare that to Tennessee. So let's look at the top 10 winningest programs. Here you go. There you go, the dark ages. The longest stretches, 17 seasons. Texas, Nebraska right now, Tennessee right now. Nebraska and Tennessee haven't finished a season in the top 10 since 2002. Texas went that long from 84 to 2000. Oklahoma went 12 seasons. Southern Cal, 12 seasons. Notre Dame, 11 seasons. Michigan, 9. Ohio State, 8. Penn State, 8. Alabama, 5, which surprised me a little. They, even in stretches where you thought, well, they weren't great for a 10-year stretch, but they would have a top 10 team in there somewhere. But you see the numbers, 17 seasons, and we've now jumped ahead. We looked at national title droughts as well. Right there. Let's go back. Let's jump to the national title droughts. Can we get there? There it is. 34 seasons, Texas went 34 seasons between national titles. Well, and here's the thing. They won it in 70, so 71 was their first season without. They won it in 2005. Well, this just goes back to 1969 on my list, okay? So when you see Tennessee down there, 29 seasons, 69 to 97, technically it had been since 51 to 97. But anyway, Texas went 34 years. Ohio State, who you just can't believe at this point, they've been so good, they went 33. Penn State 32. Notre Dame 30. On and on and on and on. Now, the numbers on the right, Tennessee had 29 years at the first of this. They won one that's been 20 years since they won it. So they've got 2 20-year streaks in this. Michigan has a 28-year and a 21. Nebraska, a couple of 22s. Guys, I'll get your reactions to this. My thought is simply, Tennessee's not alone. With the exception of Alabama, the whole idea of, these elite teams stay elite all the time, that's a nonsense idea. That's not true. Thoughts? Am I reading it wrong? How do you take those numbers?
No, I think they're very telling, and I also think it's interesting that right now the 2 teams that are at the top of that list, Tennessee and Nebraska, are 2 teams that really can't sit back. I can't explain why Texas is in there at all. as much
And
football talent that you have
theirs
in
was from
Texas.
84 to 2000.
But when you look at Tennessee and Nebraska, you go, there's two schools that have to go outside and find players in other states. And how's that being impacted? I think the state that stands out to me right now more than any is South Carolina. You used to get tons of good players from South Carolina. So it's interesting that two schools like that are at the top. Don't know what it means,
Currently.
don't know how long it will last, but currently.
Currently at the top, although you've had other schools that are,
Right.
Texas has had one that long, and you've had others that have had long years, but long droughts. The national championship thing, too, you think about, you've only got 1 in 50. Well, most schools. There's this idea that, well, everybody wins them but us. No, they're real hard to win, with the exception of really Alabama just piling them up. Clemson recently. Your thoughts on this? Anything I didn't pick up on or anything I've got wrong?
It just kind of shows me, like Tennessee, the expectations are high a lot of places, and a lot of places don't match it. A lot of places go through those dark periods where you're wondering, when are we going to get back there? Look at Nebraska. I think Nebraska and Tennessee share a lot of kind of similarities. But, you got a lot of company on that list where for a long time you haven't won a national championship.
College football is cyclical. And I think that's a great chart to just prove that, to validate that. There's a lot of ways to prove or establish, what are the parameters of the dark ages. Tennessee's about 10 years in now? It's
17 since you've been in the top 10.
But just I think most Tennessee fans would say it's been about 10 years of wandering in the wilderness, and a lot of schools do that, but it's kind of time to get back out of it now.
Vince, your take.
A couple things. First of all, great graphic with the Dark Ages. That was fantastic.
Took forever to find that skeleton.
Yeah, that's right. And then the other thing is that I think right now teams that are in the current Dark Ages period without a national championship, I think the angst is more elevated because we're more impatient as a society right now and as fan bases. So, that even includes the likes of Notre Dame as well.
And another thing goes hand in hand, whether one leads the other or not only more impatient with everything. That's a great point, because think about it. I now get mad at YouTube because everything's got a 5-second ad in front of it, at least a 5-second. And to me now, it's like, I don't have 5 seconds to wait on this. But also the thing that goes hand in hand with that is media. There's so much more media.
Right.
We're a year-round television sports talk show. Now, not every market has that, but that's different. You haven't had that in past years where, okay, it's off-season, we move on. The angst kind of builds because you're always talking about it now, and we are impatient as a society. But I do think it's interesting. Tennessee and Nebraska, certainly there's a comparison to be made there. It'll be interesting to see who's the first one back into the top 10, because somebody's going to set a new record if one of them gets in this year and the other one doesn't. But when you look at all those other schools, I think that to me was what was more telling. I was a little surprised. I knew that those other schools had had long struggles. I didn't know that I didn't think Tennessee would be middle of the pack there in terms of lengthy delays between national titles. I had forgotten that Ohio State, as good as they've been since since Jim Tressel got there in 2000, I had forgotten that long, lonely stretch they had to get back there. So the idea, I'm not trying to tell you all is well. Tennessee fans shouldn't be upset. You should be enjoying this. Not at all. What I'm saying is you're not alone in terms of looking at it and saying we'll never get back. Look at college football's landscape for perspective, and what you see is a lot of schools thought they'd never get back, and they got back.
John, and I was thinking back, how long ago for Tennessee fans does 2015 and 2016 feel? When you won 9 games, when you were relevant. It seems like it was a lot longer ago than just 3 or 4 years to me.
And I just wonder too.
I thought I had a nice wrap on that segment. I nailed it. These two go. Go ahead.
What you two were talking about, the angst that everybody has, is that going to make it so much harder for Nebraska and Tennessee because of the impatience? And now I've already heard, we've already discussed, what if Jeremy Pruitt does go 5-7 this year? Is he not going to next year already on the hot seat? And if you don't show real improvement, you're gone. Does that not start just perpetuating the cycle?
Yes.
Yeah, I think Tennessee's seen that, All right, when we come back, some amazing numbers about Jarrett Garantano that ESPN used this week and about Tennessee's offensive line. We'll dig into all that next. Come on back on the Sports Source.
McClay Painting, Knoxville's #1 painters since 1999. We turn your dream home into your reality. Visit McLeansPainting.com or call 769-8134 to set up your estimate.